Hello and welcome to Symbols of Yule and Christmas. We're talking about evergreens, evergreen trees, holly, and mistletoe today. So, let's start with the evergreen tree. As you see, it is often used at Christmas celebrations and has been used for a long time. Holly is another one that's very popular. It's got those spiky leaves and red berries. And last is mistletoe. It grows in clumps and has these white berries. But maybe you're like me and you wondered, why do we bring all these plants inside our house during this time of year? Well, some people do and some people don't. But even if you don't celebrate these holidays, maybe you've seen this stuff and thought about it. Well, to answer that question, first we have to look at where we are. There's us in America. And we have to go all the way over to Europe, which is this blue part over here. And we have to travel back in time. We're talking ancient Europe, before cars, before telephones, before light bulbs, before you could even go down to the store and buy decorations, right? This is back in the way day. So come with me and we'll explore it. So people in the ancient days, they lived very close to the land, and that meant they grew their own vegetables and hunted for their own food. So they noticed a lot of things that happened in nature, like when the seasons change, the leaves change color, sometimes they fall off the trees, and there's snow on the ground. They also noticed that the sun changes throughout the year. In the wintertime, the sun seems to get lower and lower in the sky, and there's less and less daylight during the day, and the nights tend to seem a little bit longer. Well, that was kind of scary to them, getting cold and dark, so they needed to find a way to cheer themselves up. They also noticed those trees that lose their leaves in the wintertime, they often come back in the springtime. But for a while, they look kind of naked. See here, this is a deciduous tree. In the summertime, it's all full of green leaves. And in the wintertime, when there's snow, the tree is bare. So there's some trees they notice that don't lose their leaves, and they stay green forever and ever, or at least all year round. Those are called evergreens. You can see that they look a little bit different from the deciduous trees. Their leaves stay green, and they're needly, pointy leaves. They're not broad, flat leaves. And evergreens also have cones. So let's take a closer look. There's one of those little cones right there. You might see that and say pine cone. That wouldn't be wrong. But cones actually grow on other trees too, not just pines. If you look down there at that branch at the bottom, that's from a Fraser fir tree, and that's a very popular Christmas tree. In fact, they grow those a lot here in North Carolina. So when people were living in these dark and cold times of the year, like I said, they needed to find a way to cheer themselves up. So what did they do? They couldn't just go down to the store and buy some decorations. So they decided when it looks all barren and the trees look naked and not green anymore, they went out and found some of the trees and plants that were green and brought them inside their house because bright colors help you cheer up. And over time they added things like candles and lights to them because having a little extra light in the dark time of the year also helps you cheer up. Not to mention hanging out with family and singing and dancing. So next, let's look at holly. Holly is also one of these evergreens, but it does not have a cone. It has berries instead. And because holly would grow very well at this time of year, when the sun seemed to be, like going away for a while, or at least taking longer naps than usual, the holly would grow, and they thought, Oh, that's a symbol of the sun going to sleep. It also has those spiky leaves that protect it from getting hurt by animals that would like to eat its leaves. But the berries are actually okay for birds to eat. And so the people would decorate the outside of their house with holly. The idea is that it would protect them and it would feed the birds at the same time. So people would string it together. You could put some holly over your door, like the girls in this picture on the left here. Or you could tie all the string up holly into a circle or wreath shape. That looked kind of like the sun, right? The sun looks like a circle. And people would put that on their door. Of course, if it's on the outside of the house, the birds can still eat those berries. Of course, people shouldn't eat them, but the birds need them. And that would help them survive through the winter. Next we have mistletoe. And this is another evergreen. And it grows in a tree, but it's actually not part of the tree that it grows on. Isn't that weird? This one has berries as well, but these ones are white berries. So what gave them the idea to use this plant? Well, they thought it was magical, like the other ones, because in the wintertime, when the trees were bare, they would look up into the trees and say, "Oh, what's that? There's still something green growing up there." Closer look, it grows in clumps in the trees, and it'll actually even grow in trees that are dead. That's because this kind of plant is actually a parasite. So when you were brave enough, you would maybe climb up to the top and grab some of this magic plant, right? And those ancient peoples thought that it had certain powers because it was able to survive. And it liked to grow on the oak tree, which they also thought of as being a symbol of the sun coming back. Because oak trees get nice and green in the summer when the sun is awake for most of the day, right? The days seem longer in the summer. Now, of course, in those days, people would use all sorts of plants to make their medicines and stuff. But nowadays, we let doctors and scientists take care of that for ourselves. So just remember, don't eat any of these plants. If you see them, they're great to look at. But please don't eat them. They're just for looking at and being pretty. Now, of course, some of these plants also have a nice smell to them, like the tree. So when we bring it inside, we enjoy the way it looks and the way it smells. Well, over time, lots of other things got added to these celebrations. And for a while it was a holiday called Yule. And here's some of the extra symbols of that holiday. We can't get into all of them. And then later on, that Yule holiday kind of got smushed together with Christmas. And so a lot of those same symbols, the mistletoe, the holly, the tree, they stayed with the holiday. Other things changed, but some things stayed the same. Well, whether you believe in those things or not, I hope you have fun learning about it and understanding why we see those things this time of year. Please stay tuned in the next video to figure out how to draw those things. We're going to be drawing the Fraser fir, holly, and the mistletoe. I hope you have fun, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.